All right, showtime. What's good, everybody? It's been a while, man. Welcome to a brand new episode of 27 Outs Live on a Thursday. But there's a reason why, and I'm going to get into that. But of course, I'm Ivan, as always, alongside Stefan. And as I mentioned, here we are to bring you guys a brand new 27 Outs here tonight. As you can tell by the title of tonight's show, we're going to get into the Astros, specifically their shortstop, Jeremy Peña, and what the future's looking like for them over there. And also the Brewers as well, and them being sort of like a sleeper right now in the National League. And then, of course, we like to talk about a couple of things as well as the show goes on. Before we get into that, let me tell you guys why we are filming on a Thursday night as opposed to a typical Monday night, right? Because, we like to start off a new week with a brand new episode of the show. So, unfortunately, had we decided to record as we always do on the Monday night, you guys would not have enjoyed my voice, not one bit. And I say that because obviously I was able to speak, right? But how I sound right now, how I usually sound when we do the show is not how I sounded, 2 to 3 days ago, right? And believe it or not, I actually needed at least like 2 days for my voice to come back to normal. And then on top of that, I was also dealing with a cough, like a few days leading into like my voice not really being where it needed to be. And that's why, here we are tonight, right? So my voice is back clearly. You may see me mute the mic a bit if I do have to cough, but I'd rather that, And last thing before I pass it over to you, Stefan, I kind of prefer that we're recording tonight, especially for those of you in the tri-state area. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about with the way the weather has been set up these past few days, man. I'm talking like heat wave. Is heat wave even a word? Like, I think it might be something worse than that. No lie. Like, it was like literally like 10 p.m. at night and still like 80 to 85 degrees.
Listen, the Met game started the other night and the shit said 98 on the degree. I was like,
it was crazy. And listen, right now it feels good in the room right now. And I can only imagine what it would have felt like in here had we recorded Monday night instead. Yeah. But I feel good. The temperature is starting to drop. Still warm during the day, but nothing too hot to the point where you're sweating when you go to bed and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, Stefan, how are you feeling? And then, as always, get the party started.
I'm good, man. Working. You know how we do. You know what I mean? So just been a busy week around these parts out here.
I like the word working because working for sure does mean everything for us right now.
We're working out here, but I have a funny story. So this has to do with the Jeremy Peña Astros situation. So I was reading the article on ESPN.com, and then I read it on The Athletic, and I'm just like, if you're the Astros, do you already like? I'm already preparing if Jeremy Peña is gonna be wearing a different uniform. So I started going on this site that puts players in different uniforms, right, seeing what uniform he'll look best in. Because I'm gonna tell you, if you hire Scott Boras, it's not because you want to stay in Houston. I would not be surprised, Ivan. And again, you could kill us for starting a rumor mill and say, oh, that's too early. He got 3 years left before free agency. You do not hire Scott Boras if you do not believe that you about to get a bag.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you this right now. He's been the best shortstop by the numbers, defensive WAR. He's been the best shortstop in the American League. That brother is about to get paid. And here's the thing. We've seen the Astros before do this, where they lowball some of their young players. They don't really give them what they feel like, what a player feels like he's worth. I would not be surprised. You hire Scott Boras, and I want to know what you think and the chat thinks. But you hire Scott Boras because you know shit about to get ugly.
Right, yeah.
About to get ugly out here. And the thing that made me laugh, and I know you got a cough, so we're not gonna make you laugh too much tonight.
No, I'm good, bro.
The thing that made me laugh was I'm like, if you the Astros, you're like, damn, we gotta deal with this again.
Right.
We just dealt with this with
Alex Bregman.
With Alex Bregman, we just dealt now. I think this dude is with Scott Boras too. Kyle Tucker.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's a Boras client. So I'm like, yo, dog. Like, well, we all hiring Scott Boras. Carlos Correa was a Scott Boras client too, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. They're lucky Jose Altuve stuck around because he's also a rep of Scott Boras as well.
Yeah, but I feel like Altuve's a different case because he was meant
true. Yeah, I think he
Astros.
could have been represented by anybody. He still would have stayed in that uniform regardless.
I don't know if there's an extension there for Peña.
Right.
And the thing that got me rolling is like,
and also too, I think the Astros, like when you go down the list of names, and if you're an Astros fan, I'm sorry, you're not gonna like this reminder, but it's the truth, right? And I think it's key that we also mention this now that we're talking about Peña and the possibility of him, no longer being a Houston Astro, and when that could turn a reality for him. But like just look down the list of names that the Astros just couldn't come to an agreement with, right? Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, who's another guy? Carlos Correa, George Springer, Garrett Cole, many guys.
The Correa thing I got because you started hearing stuff about his ankle and how is he gonna age. So I got that part of it, but like the Cole thing, he was an ace by the time at the time he left you. You know what I'm saying? Like he was at the peak of his powers, and he still said, "Nah, I'm gonna get out of here."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing that blows my mind, and I don't know if this is me just being a money mark, the income tax in Texas there's no state tax. You get all that money. So what it feels like to me is like, if you offer the bag, I would stay. Now, here's the thing I want to point out to Astros, don't jump us. We just out here pointing facts. Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros, he doesn't like to go above 5-6 years. He doesn't like doing long-term deals. And what was reported in the story for Jeremy Peña was that the Astros were down the road in negotiations where the deal was like five years on $100 million range. And I'm like,
it's kind of low.
Yeah, I'm like, hold up. How old is Jeremy Peña? He got to be what, 24?
I think he's in his mid-20s. Jeremy Peña right now, he's 27 years old.
27 years old.
Right.
So maybe if you're the Astros, you would have thought maybe he takes this. He's 27. By the time he is free agency, he's going to be 30. You're playing shortstop, a middle infield position. You're probably not going to get the kind of money you thought you were going to get. So maybe he takes this for the security reasons. Maybe he likes being in Houston. But the moment that the extension talks fell apart, we found out who he hired? Scott Boras. Now, hiring Scott Boras is not a slam dunk that he's going to recoup that money. Right. And that's why I think we need to talk about too. Like, this is not just on the Astros. This is also on the player.
Yeah, Jeremy Peña still has to perform at a high level regardless.
This is on the player betting on himself first and foremost, but this is also on the agent. Does the agent still have the wherewithal to get the client paid?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're Jeremy Peña, you have to put the next 3 seasons have to be damn near unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? So you put a lot of pressure on yourself by saying I'm good to that 5 years and 100. You may not get that number again.
Right.
You know, we saw this with Anthony Rizzo when he was in Chicago. We've seen this with a couple guys that you're like, looking back at it, you should have took the deal that was on the table.
Right.
That was kind of lovely. You know what I'm saying? And it's I think it's a catch-22, but it also shows you where we are in the business of baseball, where there's a lot of money out here. And there's more money than there's ever been. But what it also says is these teams are not just willing to give this money to anyone. You have to be one of them ones to get the kind of money, especially when we're talking about, over 100 million, because he clearly wants over 100 million.
Right. But also, too, if you really look at it, right, and this is not a knock on Jeremy Peña, by far, he's actually having a career year, right? Like, I would love for him to be able to repeat this 1 or 2 more times.
Right.
Prior to whenever he decides to sign that big deal that he's looking forward to. But, one thing that I want to pull a page out of your book, Stefan, like, we talk about teams like doing things or handling things the wrong way with their own guys, right? Like guys who have been there for X amount of years.
No doubt.
When you think about the franchise, you automatically think of that player at the same time, right?
Right.
And when you go down the list, like, listen, Alex Bregman, he won 2 championships with them. Look at how that turned out, you know? And I'm not saying that Jeremy Peña doesn't deserve what he's going to be looking for when the time does come. But at the same time, I mean, damn, you got some guys who wore the Astros uniform who did some great things for that squad, and they're no longer there.
I understand that, but let me play devil's advocate.
And also, one other thing I want to say in addition to that too is I know Jeremy Peña is the topic and what we're talking about right now. They've got somebody else to worry about as well by the name of Hunter Brown at some point as well. But go ahead.
I can't even think about that right now because if I think about him, we're talking about you ain't talking about 100 million. You starting at about 250.
Right.
You know
but the reason why I mention it is because do you have to kind of like pick and choose between the two, or do you decide to stick with both?
See, but this is the thing. If you're trying to win, and I'm gonna do this again. I'm on an apology tour. I did it 2 shows ago. I'm gonna apologize right here, right now. Houston Astros fans, I apologize. I got it wrong because I thought, man, they gonna take a step back. They lost a lot of pieces. They're not the same team. And foolish old me, as of this recording Thursday night, they're 15 games over 500, hotter than fish grease, 6.5 game lead in the AL West. See, the one thing that I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna double down on a bad take. I'm not gonna do what these so-called experts do, where you catch them in a bad take and they double down on the bad take. What I meant to say was, no, dude, you were wrong. Admit you were wrong. Man up to the public. Admit you were wrong. Don't try and curtail your way to it. You were wrong. And at the end of the day, I was wrong because I said, yo, the Astros are going to fall apart. This ain't going to work. And now look, they got one of the best young pitchers in the game, Hunter Brown. That Peña is killing it. You know, you got guys like Jake Myers, Mauricio Dubon. They got some baseball players, and I got that one completely wrong. So I want to go on the record and say for Astro fans, you took your pound of flesh. We cool. I don't want no problems. But what it also tells me is, I wonder if the Astros are thinking this far ahead. And I'm not saying they do it at this deadline or even this season or even next year. But I wonder if a trade starts to materialize in their brain. If you can't come to terms with this dude because you realize he's looking for a certain price point, at what point do you as an organization go, well, he's already 27. Most shortstops don't age well. He's going to have to change positions at some point. Do we want to pay him the kind of money he's looking for, one? And how does he age as the contract even starts?
Right.
Because you're talking about 28, 29, 30, 31. You know what I'm saying? And you know he's looking for a multi-year deal.
Right.
The question I would have for you and for the chat is, do you even consider the idea that the moment you hired Scott Boras, your days in Houston became numbered no matter the productivity you put up, because we don't feel like we're going to be able to reach your asking price because it may be too astronomical for us, especially at your age.
Right.
And I'm not talking about this year. This year, he's been unbelievable. He deserves whatever he gets. I understand that. You want to shoot for the stars. That is good for you. But the one thing we know about baseball, bro, you know this better than anybody because you played. I watched the game for a number of years. Baseball is a very humbling game. You could go from being on top of the world to being the bottom, lower than the floor, brother.
And, you know, one good example I want to bring up, too, when you say that, and this is no shade towards him, but Tim Anderson, right? Like, Tim Anderson was a dude who, once upon a time, he won the batting title in the American League back when he was with the White Sox. Fast forward to now, you know, and he could barely find a job.
He's not even in the big leagues. Yeah,
exactly. I know he was with the Angels for some time, but
and then Christian, what's his name? Christian Moore said, "Oh, no, you're not here no more."
Yeah. No. Shout out to Christian Moore though. He's actually from Brooklyn.
I know. I saw that.
He's from Brooklyn, bro. Yeah,
I saw that. Not that we're talking about the Angels or not like that, but like it can change that quick. Your job can be snatched that quick. And you know what's crazy is the game moves faster than these players realize sometimes, right? Like the one thing I do when I have conversations with you or all the people that love the game like we do is I tell them each year is not linear. Each year doesn't dictate what you're going to do the next year, or what you did the previous year doesn't dictate what you're going to do this year and how you're going to finish the year.
Right.
So my question for the Astros would be, yo, is he even worth it to you moving forward? He's worth it right now. In the moment, yes, I get it. I understand it completely. But is it worth it for you as he continues to age and his skill set erodes? Because you're talking about a shortstop that's going to be 30 by the time he hits free agency. I don't know necessarily what a market for him would look like. Like I'm not really sure, especially when you're the Astros. You're going to try to keep competing, to keep getting better, to keep putting a winning product on the field. Do you cash in while his value is at the highest, trade him while his stock is up here, get a return that might set you up for the future and keeps your window open longer without having to pay him the money that he's looking for? I don't know if you thought about that, but the moment you told me his age, my brain automatically went to, you hired Scott Boras. You immediately, to me, if I'm Dana Brown, the general manager of the Astros, I'm taking calls on him. Like, I'm seeing what the market looks like for him now, because his value may not be here ever again.
That's true, yeah.
And you say, well, they're 15 games over 500. Are they really going to do that? No. But that's how you get you keep up with, trying to keep a window open longer. You're
rather than losing out on, no longer having a guy and getting nothing in return.
Right. And the thing is, look at what they got for Kyle Tucker, because they waited, and they didn't move fast enough. And you turn around now and you realize, damn, we should have traded him last year.
Right.
We should have traded him a year before, like a couple years ago, and we could have gotten a crazy haul.
And they've done this with other guys too before.
Yeah.
It seems to be a pattern now. And if I had to take a guess, I think this is probably going to get to a point where it ends up hitting, free agency.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to get into a bidding war that they're not going to want to really be a part of.
And so I had the question. I was thinking to myself, how did the Astros handle, you mentioned Hunter Brown, but I'm going to mention two other names. We already know what's going to happen to Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh. They can't even come close to paying them, so a trade's going to happen sooner rather than later. But what happens to the kids Mezarowski in Milwaukee? Like, what happens to him? Because number one, you're throwing $1 billion, you're throwing diesel fuel on the mound. All right, yo, I was watching the game yesterday. Ivan, this is ridiculous, yo, bro. His changeup was 96.
Yeah, he's different.
He's different.
You know who he reminds me of when I watch him on the mound? Just looking at his physique, right? Like his body type. He reminds me of like baseball's version of like a KD, a Wembanyama, like real tall, lengthy, skinny, but he's coming at you with like some of the best stuff in the game.
Yo, he threw a slider yesterday. That shit said 97. I was like, bro, your slider is most people's fastballs. Like,
right.
I like, and then the thing is, if you're the Brewers, right? Like, yes, he's great. We're going to talk about the Brewers later on in the show. But, like, you have to start to realize, like, attrition is a real thing. Age is a real thing. Innings are a real thing. Wear and tear is a real thing. And I feel the same way about shortstops, where, like, shortstops are literally the captain of the infield. So you literally are diving for balls. You got to have the most range of anybody on your infield. You have to be willing to go for balls that most people won't get to.
Right.
And not only that, he's producing at an offensive level where if you remember last year, he kind of fell off the previous 2 years. Because when he first came up, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I still remember the home run he hit against Seattle. You remember the 18-inning game? We were here for that. We were here for that. He hits the home run, and we're all sitting there like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap. They might have done it again. They turned from Carlos Correa to this kid, and you thought, they're going to have him.
What this really means now, too, is, and I read something briefly prior to tonight's show, but apparently Jeremy Peña and the Astros were talking to each other up to a certain extent prior to him deciding to hire Scott Boras. And now all things have been put on hold. So you know what that means.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I heard they were deep down the road.
Right.
Like, they had the framework of a deal. I heard it was 5 years, $100 million.
I think the 100 was probably disrespectful. The 5 years are cool, but maybe he's looking for, who knows, 160, 175, maybe 200.
I get that part, but I'm like, if you were deep in these negotiations, somebody must have pissed you off before we got to the finish line.
Yeah.
Because you probably looked at that final number and said, 100 million. 100 million. Most shortstops right now, you talking about anywhere from 160. Because what did Dansby Swanson sign for? 7 at 175, right? 7 at 177. If Dansby signed for 7 at 177.
Yeah, 7 years, 177.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not lowballing me. You know what I mean? Nah. Pay me what I'm worth.
That's what I'm saying. He might be looking for something close to 200.
Dansby is the I wouldn't say he's the I think he's the new target. Right? Like he's the new, like, all right, if I could get to 7 years and I could get to close to 180, I'll take it. Right? But like,
because not everybody's gonna be able to get a Lindor type deal.
Right. Yeah.
Like Bobby Witt.
The Lindors, the Seagers, the what you said, the Bobby Witt Jr. They're different cases. They're not normal like cases. First of all, we got to remember the Lindor deal was right after he got traded. He got traded, and the next day he was at Cohen's crib, inking it. You know what I mean? Not the next day. I'm being facetious, but pretty damn near there after.
But that's how you get it done. When you actually land a guy like that, you don't waste any time. You don't allow him to have an opportunity to talk to any other teams, because then you might lose momentum in terms of you being a front runner to land him.
And that's the thing too. Like I wonder what his markets and this is, I'm gonna mention this again. I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, y'all, but we're gonna mention this again. There's a lockout happening real soon. If you're a player now and you take a gamble like that, you better know when we come out of this lockout, one, the money's still gonna be there because these owners might tighten the purse and go, no. You want to lock us out? You want to play hardball? All right. Here's the money you thought you were gonna get.
Right. I feel like we're gonna see both. I feel like we might see that, but we also might see like these random extensions,
and
where players just give in because of the uncertainty, you know.
Right. And I wonder, because if you remember during the last lockout, there was a 72-hour period where $2 billion was spent, where you got dudes signing crazy deals. I wonder if you get closer to the lockout and Peña goes to the Astros, you know, that 5 for 150 ain't looking so bad right now. You know what I mean? We ain't playing for another year. You know what I mean? Like, I got to make sure that I'm solidified when we get back from this lockout, because I'm going to tell you one thing. The last thing you want to be is entering free agency or a free agent when this thing happens. That's why I think Vladdy took the deal from the Blue Jays. Because he said, hold up. Even though I know I can still get the bag, teams are already starting to look at the bottom line going, hold up, bro. We might not play baseball for 4, 5, 6, maybe damn near 12 months. I can't just be spending this money frivolously. So the moment he saw $500 million, he was like, I might have to take it.
Right.
Know what I'm saying? Just because you start to think about the business side of it. See, this is what the fans are like, how can you turn down $100 million? I'll never make $100 million. How can you tell this man what to turn down? But if you're the Astros, you're like, all right, bet on yourself. Turn it down. But when the money ain't there for you can't blame us and say we didn't do our job. Because the Astros are doing what any good organization would do, which is, let's try to lock up one of our young core pieces. If we didn't get it done with Kyle Tucker, if we didn't get it done with the guys you mentioned previously, maybe we could get it done with you. And again,
I'm surprised they haven't learned their lesson by now, man. Like, call me crazy, but in a way, they're kind of late when it comes to trying to extend Jeremy Peña. They might be.
I don't necessarily know if that's the front office. More so as I'm going to put it on the shoulders of Jim Crane, the owner. The owner, Jim Crane, does not like to extend. He likes to wait things out. The problem with you waiting things out is these players are getting more expensive, as you could clearly see. and they're not willing to take the hometown discount, no matter what the discount may look like. Right. And listen, I can't blame, and this is why, if you can't play at a certain level of the pool, you shouldn't own a team. Like, the Houston Astros have been one of the most profitable organizations over the last close to a decade now.
Right, yeah.
There's money there. It's not like you're broke. There's money there. You can spend the money if you choose to. This is the same dude that gave a 43-year-old Justin Verlander, or 42 at the time, however old he was, a 2-year, $33 million contract for each year. It was 2 years, 66. So you can't tell me there's no money there. There's money there. Mm-hmm. It's just about how you choose to spend the money. Like, you gave Rafael Montero, I think he gave him, 3 years, $47 million. You paid dudes. Mm-hmm. You paid Josh Hader 5 years, $95 million.
Right.
A closer. You've paid guys. So let's not act like you haven't paid dudes. You paid dudes. And perhaps you've paid the most volatile position in baseball. Paying a pitcher, as we're all learning, might be the stupidest thing in the game right now. It might be, because Corbin Burns hurt. All these guys that you give they got paid, hurt.
Yeah.
Aaron Nola ain't been the same since he signed an extension with the Phillies. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been the same. He hasn't been on the field, right? So, like, maybe it is like, yo, let's pay the position players, because those are the dudes that are on the field every day that people come to see. Like, I can't blame Jeremy Peña if he feels a little slighted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially with where they're at right now in the American League West, having Jeremy Peña on the team. And like we said, there's still a couple of seasons before whatever deal he's looking for eventually becomes official. Mm-hmm. But it's still something to keep in mind, because like Stefan said, maybe they don't wait to the point he hits free agency, and they probably, visit the possibility of moving on from him and finally getting something in return, as opposed to just letting everybody walk through their doors and walk right out.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's like, you see it with other organizations around the game. Like, right. I mentioned Paul Skeens. Paul, it's gonna come a time where you're the Pirates, you're gonna have to, like, I mean, we might have to.
I know you mentioned that rookie sensation out in Milwaukee.
Mizorowski.
Yeah. That's another guy. Like, do the Brewers, and we're about to get into them right now, but my question is, like, do the Brewers do what they did with Jackson Chourio, and do you kind of give him the same treatment? I don't think you could give him Jackson Chourio kind of money, but I think it's gonna have to be more for that type of talent. But
I see. But if I'm the Brewers, I don't know if I even think about extending him.
Right.
Because of the
wait, hold on. Before you go there, because I wanted to because we're 30 minutes in. And, we haven't shared the social media.
Let's get to these comments too. Yeah.
Right. So before we get into the comments, shout out to everybody who is watching right now. We really appreciate it on this lovely Thursday night edition of 27 Outs. As always, make sure you guys go ahead and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, all three at 27 Outs 3C. I think we're at like 88 followers, if I'm not mistaken, on the TikTok, something like that. So if you haven't followed us on TikTok yet, make sure you guys go ahead and follow us there. Yep. And of course, for those of you who are watching right now, which is the only way, live via YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It does go a long way for sure. And if you're new here, right, welcome aboard. New episode, of course. That's Stefan. I'm Ivan. We like to talk baseball here weekly. Make sure you hit that subscribe for future content.
For sure. Turn them notification bells on too.
Definitely, yeah.
We got some stuff in the tuck, man, and you don't want to miss these shorts. These shorts are for sure. We putting these shorts out like they hot cakes, baby. Know what I mean? But let's get some of these comments, man. Shrek with the World Series, Jeremy Peña, World Series MVP comment. He says, I keep seeing people wanting Luis Robert to get traded. Dude's batting $185. Who wants that?
Stefan, you've mentioned him a lot for a while now.
I can tell you who wants it. Teams that are looking for a rangy outfielder that if you get him out of Chicago, he might turn into something. Because I believe in this theory wholeheartedly. If you're on a team that you know they're losing games, it's hard for you to get up and play the game. Like, we're going to lose tonight.
I don't even think he wants to be there anymore either. I
Who
remember
does?
reading a quote by him. I think it was earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken. And he had said something along the lines of actually being surprised that he still plays for the White Sox. He thought he would have been gone by now. Like, for a player to still be on a team and you
Mhm.
publicly say that, it's like, oh, you don't even want to be here anymore.
Yeah, bro. And the thing that's crazy is, like, to make it publicly known,
Yeah.
that isn't that. Like, I respect the honesty, but that's kind of crazy to say,
Mm-hmm.
especially when everything is so close to the vest now. Emilio said Xander Bogaerts. The Padres are paying Xander Bogaerts a lot of money.
Man, that deal, I mean, since day one has been absolutely awful, man. If I were the
Mhm.
Padres, I would be regretting that big time. That deal was lovely for Bogarts. Not for the Padres so
Nah,
much,
yeah.
but for him, yeah.
That felt like a panic move to me. I don't necessarily know why that was done.
Right, right.
Since Olita KC now.
Shout out to the Red Sox for actually doing the right thing, at least in terms of that guy, right? Letting him walk and sign for that crazy amount with San Diego instead of
No doubt.
Boston.
No doubt. This schedule was like WWF in the late 90s. Mondays, Raw's War, Thursday, SmackDown.
Word, I remember that, man. That's true. By the way, we are coming back on Monday. So, for those of you who didn't tune in at the top of tonight's show, I was sick. So that's the only reason why we're filming right now. But you guys actually get, believe it or not, 2 shows this week. So you're going to get tonight. And we're going to come right back in a few more days on Monday night at 9 p.m. So
yeah, for sure. I have an interesting question for you, though. When you look at the Brewers and you look at what they're doing right now, I look at the Brewers and I'm like, I don't want to fall in love with you because I know how this is going to end. I don't want to fall in love with you because I know how this is going to end.
yeah, of course.
But here I am, like a fool, falling in love with the idea of Freddie Peralta, Jacob Mezorowski, and Mr. Burns, because they have. There's a guy by the name of Chase. He wears number 39. He's a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am, falling in love with the Brewers, asking myself, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah. By the way, I know you were just talking about the rotation. The Brewers, I think they got one of the biggest steals this past offseason when they decided to be the team to give a deal to Jose Quintana. Yeah. Bro, that deal is working out in every way imaginable. And I know he's an older guy, but the fact that he's at that age still putting up the numbers that he is,
it's crazy.
I mean, come on.
It's crazy. And then, you look at the back of the bullpen when Uribe, they let Devin Williams go. They don't miss a beat. You still got guys throwing $1 billion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
two key players they lost actually in the offseason. It was Devin Williams and Willie Adames, who went to the Giants.
And they feel like they haven't skipped a beat,
Right. Listen, I'm surprised, right? And
me too.
I think it's great that we're giving them credit rather than just glossing over the fact that they're playing well. Because, listen, if this is something that they're going to be able to maintain, we're going to be right back here in like a few more weeks talking about the Milwaukee Brewers yet again.
And you know what? If you're the Brewers, let me ask you this crazy question, because I know we're in Milwaukee and the market size isn't that big. I wonder if they go out and buy. I wonder if they go look at a guy like Ryan Mountcastle or Ryan O'Hearn in Baltimore, or Luis Robert. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if they go out and buy and say, you know what? If you're Atlanta, what are you doing with Marcell Ozuna? Mm-hmm. Like, let's put him in the middle of this lineup. Let him be the DH. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, the Brewers are one more impact bat away from me saying, yo, I could see them, going further in October. I'm not going to tell you where I think they go because that'll be foolish with the Mets, Phillies, Dodgers, but they can be one of those teams. That
do you think they're, because I know you just mentioned a move, right? But do you think they're like about a move away from being right up there with the Cubs? I think, offensively, not, but overall, right?
No, I think with the pitching you have, bro, because maybe you talk about how important pitching is. Their pitching is good enough right now where if you get that lineup to just give me a little more outside of the Yelich, the Cheerio, you know what I mean? Outside of the 3 core guys, you could be a team that people look at and go, with that pitching, they're gonna be tough to beat in the postseason. And so my question is, you know what I really want them to do? If it was me, I would go trade for Cedric Mullins because it feels like Cedric Mullins feels like the type of guy. One, he's your prototypical leadoff hitter. You move Jackson Cheerio down the peg. You tell Cedric Mullins, listen, go play left field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Bryce Terang. Sal Furtick is killing it for the Brewers. Sal Furtick, I looked at his average. He's damn near hitting 300.
Yeah, Shrek has been mentioning him for a while.
You know what I mean?
And I'm confused because I kind of feel like once upon a time, maybe it was a joke, or maybe it was me just taking it the wrong way all along, and he was being serious. Yo, Shrek, if you're still here. Oh, you're still here. Yo, when you first mentioned him, bro, I got to ask you, were you joking, or was I wrong for taking it as a joke, bro?
No, because that 300, that 280, that 292 batting average, wherever he's at, there's nothing funny about that.
Yeah, nah, he's playing a key role in like where they're at right now as a team. Also, he was serious. Yeah, I was sleeping, bro. I was sleeping. I'm sorry.
They hit me with the melatonin early.
Yeah. But you know what? The Cedric Mullins, whether it be with Milwaukee or whoever else, right. I like it regardless of who it is that picks him up.
Yeah.
You know, pop, speed. Not going to provide a lot, you know, in terms of average, but he's going to bring other things to the game that glove still benefit most teams, you know?
That glove, his range in the outfit, that glove is still elite.
Right.
So if I'm the Brewers, Cedric Mullins is a guy that I at least kick the tires on and go, what would it take to get him? And another guy that I'm kind of fascinated with, nobody really is going to say this out loud, but I was thinking about this today. I'm like, I wonder if you're an older player. Let's just say, I'm just saying this for argument's sake, but let's just say you're an Andrew Benintendi. You're a contact hitter. You're not a power hitter, but you're a contact guy. You get out of Chicago. You go to a pennant race. You get rejuvenated. What does that look like? Because we also got to remember the Brewers' market size they're not in one of the biggest markets. So when you start talking about them trading for like high-level impact, that means high-level salary, and I don't know if they have the financial wherewithal to cover that.
Yeah.
But that's why Cedric Mullins is interesting to me. That's why an Andrew Benintendi would be interesting to me. Mm-hmm. If I'm being honest, I'd even call the Twins to see what's up with a guy like Byron Buxton. Like all it takes is a call.
Yeah.
Like, yo, what are you doing?
I don't actually believe in the Twins. You know, I know they've been playing some pretty good baseball over the past month or so. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. I think the Guardians, the Tigers specifically, stand out a whole lot more. Mm-hmm. And call me crazy, but I'll even put the Royals ahead of the Twins. Like if I really had to pick between two teams and it was the Twins or the Royals, I kind of got like the Twins as like that fourth place team. But who knows?
And the Twins just got stomped out this weekend. They got swept at home.
Yeah.
This past weekend. So it's like, can we take it can we take it seriously? And the thing about the Twins is there's an ownership situation happening. Do they sell the team?
Right. We talked about that.
Are they looking to? Are they not? It's kind of tough. So like if you're Milwaukee, you have to kind of be like, hey, what are they doing? Are they selling? Are they buying? Like, what are we doing? And the other team I'm going to mention too is I wonder what a guy like Josh Naylor would look like in the Brewers lineup. First base, DH type of situation. You tell Rhys Hoskins, put the glove away, go play DH. Let's bring Josh Naylor in here. Some left-handed pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that look like? One of those guys being there. What does that look like? Because Josh Naylor, I believe he's on an expiring deal. No, he's a free agent at the end of the year or close to it, which is why the Guardians didn't pay him. But, like, a guy like that to me makes sense because the Diamondbacks ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, this is actually
this final year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy like that can help somebody, whether it be Milwaukee, whether it be one of these teams. Like I could see him in Tampa.
Speaking of Arizona, they got a few guys who some of these teams around the league could actually benefit from, like Josh Naylor. Mm-hmm. I think a week or two ago you mentioned Eugenio Suarez. I believe they're also going to depart with like a pitcher or two as well from that starting rotation. But some of these guys that we're talking about, like, they're not just any players. Like, if they're exactly what you're looking for, and you just so happen to be the team that's looking for that, and you land a Suarez, and you land a Naylor, or you land a Merrill Kelly, or whoever they let go of,
that might be
that's
you
huge.
set yourself up. Yeah. So like I'm kind of looking at them like they can remake somebody's whole deadline. Then I look at the Orioles like that.
Yeah,
you can remake somebody's deadline. Minnesota. Like if you really wanted to, you can get to a point where you make somebody's deadline. Listen, and I'm gonna say this. I don't care what the numbers say. Sandy Alcantara's last 3 starts, he's looking like the Sandy of old.
Right. And you said that's all it's gonna take too, you know?
It's gonna take 4 or 5 good starts, and now they're gonna start swarming like bees. So what comes out yesterday? The Chicago Cubs have been having exploratory conversations about Sandy Alcantara, and I'm like, I wonder where we heard that before. Like,
so now that you mentioned him, right? So I know we've talked about him earlier this year, and obviously the name is going to come up even more, especially as we get closer to the deadline.
Right.
And I hope you guys are looking forward to that content, because I think that's going to be a special moment for the show as well.
No doubt.
Not only in terms of content, but growth as well. You know, I think a lot of people are going to be, with hands on, eyes on, whatever you want to call it, in terms of looking for any type of information when it comes to some of these guys that are going to be available. But if you had to choose, right? I don't know if you care about ranking 1, 2, 3, or if you just want to name 3 teams, however you want to put it. And also, for those of you who are watching right now, feel free to comment below as well.
Yeah, please.
If you had to choose 3 teams that are going to be in it, who do you think ends up with Sandy Alcantara? 3 teams.
I'm going Cubs. I'm going to go. I don't know if they have the wherewithal to pull this off, but I'm going to say it anyway just because I can never count them out. I'm going to go Astros.
Astros, okay.
And then I know this is easy, but until you kill the Dodgers, until you kill the Dodgers and tell the Dodgers, hey, you can know, because the Dodgers are still looking for pitching depth because they still have like 14 pitchers on the injured list.
Right.
All right. So like, I wonder if the Mets step up the game, even though he's in the American League, the National League East. I wonder if, the Yankees are going to kick the tires somehow, some way. They're going to kick the tires and try to see if they can get in there somehow, some way. By the way, Spencer Jones is looking like prime trade candidate material right now. This guy in his last, I think they said since coming back from his injury, this guy's hit like 6 home runs with his OPS over like 1,500 and hitting like 320. That'll play. Somebody.
I wonder how the Yankees view him now, right? Because I feel like not too long ago, when you thought about, the post Aaron Judge era, and we still got, a ways to go until we officially get to that point.
No doubt.
But just looking at the next crop of talent for the Yankees coming up through this system, right?
No doubt.
And I kind of feel like Spencer Jones was literally right in the middle of that, right? It was him and some of these other guys, Austin Wells as well. Volpe, even though a lot of people feel differently about Volpe nowadays.
I'm gonna be honest, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate it. I'm going to tell you why I hate it. I'm sorry, little mini rant.
You know where I stand with him. So I haven't been a big fan of the guy, but I also don't ridicule him how some of these other fans do,
I wonder. So my point is, I want people to understand. The kid is in his 3rd year playing shortstop for the Yankees. Whether you understand the significance of that, us as New Yorkers, forget about being a Yankee fan because that doesn't matter. Look at the people that have played this position, bro. Like they comparing him to Derek Jeter before he even put his jersey on. Right. Oh, local kid, jersey. He's going to be the next one. I'm like, yeah, let's calm down on that for a minute.
I can't believe people still do that. I'm so over that.
But
Jeter's our guy, bro.
Right. Right.
Like, why don't we compare him to Didi instead or
Here's-
something? Why does it have to be Jeter every time?
Right. Here's why I'm not going to give up on him, because even when he was bad in his first year, he still went for 2020.
Right.
Right? Like,
Which I thought was something special.
2020 is in there with the kind of defense he plays. If you could get him to be 2020, and listen, you're gonna say people are gonna kill me for this. I do not care about batting average. I do not care.
Well, the issue with Volpe is because I do think he's a better defender than some of the silly mistakes that he makes. Because all ball players make mistakes, right?
Of course.
I know when you play for the New York Yankees, it's gonna stand out
It's
a whole lot
magnified.
more.
Yeah.
But in the case of Volpe, I got to be honest. I do agree with you, especially when you look at the current state of baseball. You know, people don't look at batting average how they once did.
No.
The issue with Volpe is that the on base is extremely low too, bro. Because if you're going to be a guy who's going to steal 20 to 30 bags per year,
you got to
at least get on base 35% of the time, dude. There's no reason why your on base is in the 20s maybe?
Yeah, but here's can we just have this conversation too? Can we just admit publicly that coaching in the big leagues is horrible?
Right.
Because you know how his swing is going to change? I'm going to tell you how. Right here on the air. We're going to talk about this. If you look at Volpe's stance right now is he's too far back in the box. You remember when he got on that hot streak for a couple weeks? Like, he went on this hot streak for like a couple weeks.
But that's the issue with him. He's a streaky hitter.
No, but I also think the Yankees don't do a good job of telling him, yo, look at the film. When you were hot, look at what you were doing. You were standing closer to the inside corner. You're basically shutting off the inside corner. And what you're telling opposing pitchers was, yo, you're not beating me in here. Because if you notice, his swing is really loopy, which is why he started using a torpedo bat. So the sweet spot is lower on the bat, and he's able to get to balls a little easier. What the Yankees, to me, have to do, and this is the thing that blows my proverbial mind, it wasn't the Yankee hitting coaches that told him he needed to adjust. It was Austin Wells. They were sitting in Volpe's mother's house having chicken cutlet parm. They turned on the tape, and they were like, yo, staying closer in the box, you're going to be able to get some pitches outside. And I'm like, yo, hold on. What are you big league coaches doing then? If nobody sits there and says, hey, to get to the outside pitch, you have to stand closer. You literally have to block off the outside corner. Like, why are we allowing him to go back to standing so far away from the plate that you're not gonna get to pitches on the outside corner?
So let me ask you this, right? Because I wanna get a clear understanding for what's being said right now. So you're not blaming Volpe so much. You're blaming the Yankees.
I would blame the Yankees, yes, because here's what I'm going to tell you, right? Like, you saw when he was hot what he was doing. When he was during the playoffs last year, look at the difference in his stance during the playoffs last year and where he is now. During the playoffs, he was literally standing on top of the inside corner. And he was telling pitches, yo, beat me inside. Beat me inside. Because when you cut up, like, you got to understand, his swing is loopy as it is, right? So it's long, and he's going to take him a little while to get to the pitches on the outside corner. Yeah. So what you do is you stand on the inside corner, and if you're standing further back, you know what's going to happen? Velocity is going to beat you inside, which is what's happening to him. He's laid on the fastball, and then when he sees an all-speed pitch, he's out in front of it. Because he's not able to time up the velocity, because to me he's standing too far back. Where if you stand closer on top of the plate, you can kind of get a better feel for, I think he's trying to come inside. Let me cut off this inside corner, shoot this shit to right field.
All right, so let me ask you this too. So for where the Yankees are at, right, and considering where they went last season as far as to the World Series, obviously losing to the Dodgers,
right?
Let's say come this October, and I'm not saying that we got to judge a book by its cover, and by basing it off of a short
sample size.
Yeah, exactly. But let's say come this October, Yankees are, I don't know, in the ALCS, let's say, right? And then they rightfully so, they should be there, but we'll see. But let's say they make it there, and Volpe's bat isn't quite where you thought it would be, you know, and he's still making those costly mistakes. But now it's no longer the regular season. We're talking about October baseball. Does that
Yeah.
bother you, or do you still like,
So
we'll see what happens?
no, but see, at one point, like this is what I'm going to say too. George Lombard Jr. is ready to take his job. George Lombard Jr. is flying through the minor leagues. He's going to be at AAA, I think, at the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a world where George Lombard Jr. is playing the games for the Yankees in 2026.
Right, next season, yeah.
There's a world where that's real, right? So if that's the case, then you got to have the question of like, is it time to cut bait with the kid? Like, I like how competitive he is. I like how he doesn't give it bats away. I like how he fights and he's feisty. But maybe another person trying to steal his spot lights a fire into him and says, maybe this job isn't mine. Maybe there's somebody out, and maybe this kid is going to sneak up behind me, snatch the baton, and I'm going to be out of a job. Right? Like, you have to start putting in his brain, you can't be struggling for too much longer, my boy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what this is why the Yankees, they drive me absurd. Clint Frazier went on the Foul Territory show and said the Yankees don't believe in hot.
Hot? What do you mean by hot?
When somebody is like red hot, they're like 7 for their last.
Oh, okay, yeah.
18, they're hotter than fish grease.
Right.
The Yankees will give a guy a day off, and I'm like, bro, why?
Mm-hmm.
So Saturday, Anthony Volpe goes 3 for 4. It's a single, dribbler up the box. It's a rocket double. Homers his last at bat. What do the Yankees do? They sit him the next day. And I'm sitting there going,
that's a problem.
What if he just unlocked his swing and just sitting?
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's the other thing I'm going to tell you too. Notice when Aaron Judge went into the slump. He went into the slump after he sat in the Kansas City series. He ain't been the same since. Until these players come to you and say, hey, Skip, I need a day. Run them out there.
True, yeah.
Especially if you see them trying to start to get the rhythm, kind of start to find the swing.
Especially when they're as young as Volpe. Like a guy like Aaron Judge, I get it. But you also want to be able to give him those random off days, even if he's not asking for it.
No, I got you.
But there's no reason a player as young as Volpe sitting down, bro.
Honestly, I don't understand.
You should be playing 145 games plus, like every year.
Jason Dominguez went 4 for 5 yesterday with 2 doubles, 2 singles, and he was all over the place. There's a world where we look at the lineup call tomorrow, and guess what? Jason Dominguez is not in the lineup.
Yeah.
And if that happens, I'm going to text you the most expletive-laced text that you have ever gotten from me in your life.
Right.
Because I don't understand that. The Dodgers don't do it. When Ohtani's hotter than fish grease, days off. What? Freddie Freeman, you got 1 leg, but you're hot. I mean, they ain't shitting you down.
Mm-hmm.
Hot is a thing. That's how you build momentum. And that's when these super analytical ball clubs, they kill themselves because the numbers say, well, if he plays this many games and the advanced numbers say his body's going to do this and that and that and this. And what happened to watching the game and seeing somebody swing and noticing, he's all right. It's like going back to the Brewers. Christian Yelich with the back. I get it. I get why you want to sit him and be cautious, and I get it.
But when he gets hot, he's a problem still.
He has been great this year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Pat Murphy, you're sitting in the dugout going, how do I bench this dude?
Right.
How do I bench him? He's been unbelievable. Look at his numbers. Tell me if I'm lying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
So. Mm-hmm. OPS around 800, 264 batting average.
And I'm like, how do I sit that down?
Right.
Like, how do you tell your?
He was great last season too before he went down.
Before he got hurt, yeah. And the thing you hope is that like his body's able to hold up through the rigors of the rest of the regular season. Like, here's the conundrum I'm having, right? Like, I know we're jumping around, but like the Angels like 40-40. Mike Trout's just starting to look like Mike Trout. They're back over 500. They're the third wild card team right now. You just swept the Red Sox this past week. This week, just these last 3 days, they swept them. And I'm like, yo, Mike Trout, he's looking like Mike Trout, like Joe Adele and Christian Moore and
Christian Moore. He's a great player, but also I kind of feel like he has this sense of energy to him that I think is contagious almost, you know?
You
don't see too many ball players sliding into third base, tongue hanging out, wagging like a damn dog. Like, not only is he a good player in terms of skill, but I think, you know, his teammates, in a sense, I would say, could be feeding off of that too.
It's the same thing with like they've been waiting for Joe Adele for years. You know, Joe Adele's been a prospect we've been hearing about for years. He's finally starting to like look like the Joe Adele we know. Right. And I'm like, yo, if I'm the Angels, because I don't know how many kicks at the can I'm gonna get at the trade deadline, I'm going up to Artie Moreno's office and I'm like, yo, Artie, open these books, my boy, because whatever we gotta do, we're gonna do.
Yeah.
If we gotta trade for somebody with some salary, if we got whatever we gotta do, we're gonna do. And here's a crazy stat about the Angels. You want to hear something crazy? They have 8 players in the big leagues right now that all have been drafted within the last 2 years.
Sheesh. Wow, that's crazy.
They're already in the big leagues.
Right.
Sean Noel at first base, Christian Moore at third base, shortstop. Third base, Zach Neto at shortstop. He came to the big league super quick. The closer that they had before he got hurt, Ben Joyce.
Yeah.
He was drafted early. He was in the big leagues early. And it's like, y'all don't believe in that minor league development, huh?
Right.
Y'all trying to get these dudes to develop at the big league level, and I get it. But the question I have is like, what happens when the confidence when it goes the other way? When they go to their first prolonged slump, when they're like 2 for 30 and can't hit the side of a barn, and you're like,
right,
this is rough.
That's where I feel like having the opportunity, because not a lot of players get to say, yo, in year one, I played in the same lineup as a Mike Trout, you know?
Yeah.
But Mike Trout, you know, not being the player who he once was, I kind of feel like that's also a way where he could be beneficial to the Angels and what the roster is looking like in terms of some of these young guys who you just mentioned. Because, listen, the dude, he raked for what? Damn near a decade, right?
Yeah,
straight. I mean, who else would you want to learn from other than Mike Trout?
It feels like they're kind of rushing these young kids to the big leagues so that you keep the window open longer for Trout.
Right.
Where it's like, let's see what these young kids got. Let's see if somebody just like hits when you like know this kid's going to be a star, right? Like if Joe Adele finally finds the range, Christian Moore finally finds the range, Zach Neto finds the range.
You know, like, I don't want to go back to this time, but what really bothers me still to this day as I speak to you, bro, is I still can't believe that Trout and Ohtani didn't work out. Like Trout and Pujols, I understood because Pujols was already on a decline when he got to the Angels, but he just so happened to be able to secure the bag because they offered it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really expecting much out of that duo, right? But Ohtani and Trout, like, damn, we should have gotten more out of that.
That's, you know what's crazy is they were together for 7 seasons. They didn't make the playoffs not 1 year.
That's bad, bro.
And you know the crazy thing about it, that just goes to show you that it's about a team game. Like
especially in baseball,
Yeah, you can have all the superstars in the world, but it's a team game. Like that's why what the Dodgers doing to me is, yes, they have stars, but they wouldn't be as good if they didn't have the Teoscar Hernandez's, the Andy Pajes's, the Tommy Edmonds, the Teoscars, the guys who you look at and go, the Will Smiths, the guys who you look at and go, they're not stars, but in a big spot, he could go this one to hit a single up the middle, this one to steal a base, this one, you know what I mean? And by the time you look up 1 through 9, they got one of the craziest lineups in baseball. Like I was sitting there thinking about it, I'm like, yo, Andy Paez? Like Andy Pages to me, every time I watch the Dodgers, this guy does something. Whether he makes a
He's
play,
having a big season for them for sure.
he hits a double, he does
Yeah.
something where you're like, wow, Andy Pages.
Max Muncy started wearing glasses, and he's a different player.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like the other guys are stepping up, so that when it's time for the big dogs to do their thing, the big dogs don't feel the pressure, right? They're like, all right, y'all young boys, y'all carried us to get here. Now let's win you the championship. That's why Freddie goes off in the World Series. That's why Ohtani killed the Mets. That's why a guy like Mookie Betts will turn around and have a great postseason this year, because it's like, all right, they carried us all year. Now it's time for us to win the thing. We're going back to the Yankees. It's like, I don't feel like there's another guy that I'm definitely afraid of in Atlanta besides Aaron Judge. Like, Cody's a great defender. He can get streaky as a hitter. He can do things that you're like, Austin Wells, same thing. Good behind the plate. The bat is a little questionable right now. Like, he'll get hot eventually.
Goldie as well. Like, even though he's having a heck of a season at his age now, like, you also got to ask yourself, if you're a Yankee fan,
how long is this going to last?
Is the bat that he's been showing us from April till now going to be the same bat that he has in August, September, October, you know?
Right, and that's the thing. It's like, when you start to ask yourself, like, where's the help? Like, Jazz Chisholm's been amazing.
Yeah.
Since he's been back. That's why you need the Chisholms, the Dominguezes, the Volpes. You need the young guys to step up so that the older guys can catch their groove, catch their breath, so that when it's winning time, we have enough in the tank to go win it for you.
Right.
The reason why I think Aaron Judge struggles in the playoffs is, number one, he feels the pressure to be great every at bat.
Oh, yeah.
But I also think he's physically beat up from like, I've been carrying this offense for 7 months. Help a brother out, please.
Right.
Please.
Yeah.
Like, what else do I got to do? And now you see teams like we were advocating, 4 fingers, my boy. Yeah, take your big ass to first base. You ain't beat me. No. I'm going to go attack Wells, Volpe, and Bellinger. Like, we ain't doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, same thing with Milwaukee. It's like, all right, Cheerio, Yelich, like, their top 3, they're going to kill. Furtick, they're killing us. What am I getting from a Joey Ortiz? What am I getting from a Bryce Terrain? Can Sal Furtick hit like this all year? Can we get some contributions from somebody that's not in the organization? Will they go out and get another bat if it's feasible, right? Where it's like, you need more.
Yeah, I feel
you need more because at some point the conversation is going to become, what you have is good right now, but do you have the guy like a Pages, like an Edman, like a guy that Max Muncy, like you mentioned,
right?
Do you have the guy that's sitting in the 6 hole going, I'm gonna hit a 3-run yaya, and we right back in the lead. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you need. And that's why no matter how hurt the Dodgers get, I don't care no matter how hurt they get, they're going to find a way.
And they've been showing that all season long.
That's what champions do. It's like, who wants to step up and take this championship from them? You're going to have to take it. They ain't giving it to you. You're going to have to take it. So whether it's the Astros, the Yankees, whoever you want to throw out there in the American League, the Tigers, you're going to have to take this. And as good as the Tigers have been, Javier Baez has been amazing. Riley Green, amazing. Spencer Torkelson, shout out to Spencer Torkelson. He made a brother look smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, who is going to step up for you? Who's going to have that welcome to October moment besides Tariq Skubal? Is it going to be one of your young aces? Is it going to be a Casey Mize? Are you going to have to go out and get another starter?
Right.
Like, do you go out and trade for a Mitch Keller?
I think Casey Mize might be done for the year, though, isn't he?
The one that I heard is Jackson Jobe.
Jackson Jobe, my mistake. All right, got you. Yeah.
It might be Jackson Jobe.
Yeah. Well, Casey Mize, I think he's banged up, but I was thinking more so about who was out for the year. Jackson
No,
Jobe,
I think
right?
it's Jackson Jobe that's done for the year, but still,
Yeah.
Jackson Jobe was a big piece last year. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember Jackson Jobe came in the ninth inning and closed the game in the wild card series against the Astros.
Yeah, we see that a lot. You know, I remember who was it? This was a while back, but I remember a young David Price
doing it for the Rays, yeah.
In the postseason. I forget the year, but this was a while back though.
Like, I'm gonna ask a crazy question. Like, if Texas continues to struggle and the offense doesn't right itself and Houston's running away with this thing, do you have conversations amongst yourself about trading Jacob deGrom?
Right?
Like, do you have a conversation where it's like, yo,
you know, believe it or not, even at the price and what he's actually still earning, I think he's 37 years old right now. I think some teams would be in on it.
He's looking filthy. The Cubs are looking for pitching. The Yankees are looking for pitching.
Yeah.
I would tell you this, right?
He went deep into the ball game the other day with like a no-hitter or something like that.
7 no-hit innings. He was unbelievable. Yeah. He was unbelievable. Like DeGrom could change somebody's postseason outlook real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Seattle finally says, you know what? This just ain't working with all these pitches. Let's move one of them, at least one of them for now, and see what the return looks like. Right? Because I wonder if you're a team that's desperate for some starting pitching, that you're willing to at least bite the bullet and say, you know what? We want to trade from a surplus of depth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you're Arizona, you mentioned it earlier with a Zach Gallen or a Merrill Kelly or, you know, one of these guys that are not pitching well. Like, I wonder who takes the chance and says, you know what? Maybe we put him in a pennant race. We bring him to Detroit. We bring a Merrill Kelly to Detroit. We bring a Zach Gallen to Detroit. We bring a Jose Castillo to Detroit. We bring it, you know what I'm saying? I'm building a rhythm here. Mm-hmm. We trade for Jacob deGrom. Can you imagine Jacob deGrom, Tarek Skubal, and Casey Mize?
Yeah, honestly, I think going into any series in the postseason, you might be down 0-2 already.
Yo, dog.
Having to face Skubal and deGrom back to back, that's tough.
Just think about facing them in the first round of the plus. What's a 5-game series? Yeah. By the time you know you're down 0-2 and you're about to be eliminated like the next day.
That's like having a 2-headed dragon, no lie.
That's insane. And so, like, I wonder, like, who's going to be the team that, like, finally grabs the proverbial brass ring? Because the Giants did it, right? The Devers thing, that's a brass ring type of move. Like, that's you declaring, all right, we at least want to compete with y'all.
Right.
Who's going to be the next team that says, yo, we right there. The Yankees are looking vulnerable in the American League. True, I just dropped my mouse. That's funny. The Yankees are looking vulnerable. Detroit, we're right there. We're 8 games up in the division. Let's go grab the brass ring. Yep. Call somebody and be like, yo, what you trying to do, dog? Seattle, what you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? Because at some point, you can't be like, oh, we'll be okay. And the thing that I heard interesting, I read an article on MLB.com, and we're leaving right now because I want to get to these comments. But like, I read an article on MLB.com where they talked about how like this feels like a seller's market because they're like 20 teams that feel like, yo, we could win the division.
Yeah,
we could get back in this wild card race. There's 20 teams who don't think like, oh, we're gonna miss the playoffs.
Let me see. Let me look at the wild card picture right now. So, in terms of those teams who probably still view themselves as in it, in the American League, and this is outside of the top three teams who already have wild card spots, right? So,
okay, so you're going 4 through like 7.
I'm only gonna mention 8. Like maybe I say like 4 teams, right?
So 4 through 8. Let's just go 4 through 8.
Yeah, you got Guardians, Angels, Rangers, Red Sox. Royals and Twins are like right behind them, but I could see the Angels probably falling below, and maybe the Twins or the Royals probably moving up. Mm-hmm. But you got those teams there, right? Who I believe between now and then are probably still gonna have a shot. Yo, Shrek, bro, 5-game losing streak for the Royals. I mean, I'm sorry, But damn, bro, like you guys are looking like what the Twins did last year. Like they played a portion of the season really well, and then they just plummeted.
Then it cratered out, yeah.
All right, so now for the National League, outside of the top 3 teams, you got the Giants, Cards, Reds, Diamondbacks, who I believe I'm counting them out. I'm counting them out. You know, Stephen, you said the same thing. And
Yeah,
you got the Braves, who are 7 behind, but they've been playing really good as of late. So who knows? You know,
the thing about the Braves. Let's see the Braves get back to 500.
Right.
Once you get back to 500, then we can have a conversation of how good we think you're going to be in the second half. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. That Crisso injury changed their whole season.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was actually during a really bad time.
Right.
To happen. The way he was pitching, he was looking like one of the best pitchers in the game.
Bro, you know, in his previous 7 starts before the injury, he has an ERA like sub 1. He was like 1.5. He was barely under 2. He was killing it.
Cruising, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, this guy might actually start the All-Star game. Like, you could have a debate. It was a debate between him and Skeens and who starts it. And I'm going to tell you something right now. You don't want to hear this because he just came up 2 minutes ago. But Jacob Mazeroski, you keep throwing like that, you might find yourself in this All-Star game conversation, my boy.
Nah, I don't think not yet, bro. Not yet.
I mean, if we're sitting here talking about like a fan vote and it's the fans' game and it's a contest, like it's the fans' game, the fans are gonna find a way to put public pressure on Major League Baseball. Yo, get this dude to the All-Star game.
Right, but making it is one thing, and you said starting the game like that's a little different, bro.
I don't know if he starts it, but I think
getting in is definitely possible. Yeah, and for sure.
The thing is, like, I just think you're in a weird spot. Like, if you all these teams, you mentioned all those teams.
Mm-hmm.
The Guardians, I could see them making a plus, but the Guardians, I could also see petering out and not doing anything.
Right.
The Twins, I think they're done. The Rangers, maybe if the offense wakes up from its prolonged slumber, we might have a conversation.
True.
But, like, the Cardinals to me are legitimate. The Cardinals to me need at least one more pitcher. And if I was being greedy, if I'm John Mozeliak in my final year, we're not trading you, Nolan. We're actually going to get somebody to get you to the point where you might actually make the postseason in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, the conversation then becomes, like, maybe the Cardinals don't, sell. Maybe they're like, oh, we're going to go buy.
Yeah.
We're going to put something in front of Sonny Gray, put something in front of Eric Fetty, put something in front of, you know what I'm saying?
I do think between now and come the deadline date, actually, I think some of these teams who I did mention about a minute or two ago are going to fizzle out. Not all of them, because I think a lot of them are still going to be right there exactly where they're at right now, which is very close. I'm talking like a game 2, maybe even 3 out.
Yeah.
But for all of these teams to still be standing exactly where they are right now is certainly not going to happen.
And that's why the deadline becomes more complicated by the year.
Yeah.
When everybody says, oh, we can fix this at the deadline, there's a lot of teams that are like, I don't know about that. Like, we thought the Blue Jays were going to be for sure sellers. The Blue Jays are 3.5 games out of division lead in American League.
Yeah, they got really hot this month in June.
And it's like you talk about like selling and pieces maybe going different directions. I'm like, if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm like, hold on, maybe we want to keep this core together and see if we could make a run for it, because the American League East is not that good. Like, the Yankees look vulnerable.
Right.
Baltimore's not as good as we thought they were going to be. Tampa, that's my man crush in baseball right now. Tampa they're unbelievable.
Shout out to the people who showed us love on that clip for sure. Though.
Yeah, but like from now till the trade deadline, let's just put this out there. This show is going to be a smorgasbord of, what if this team buys? What if this team sells? Because here's the thing, it changes week to week.
Right.
It changes week to week to it. You're like, maybe the Mariners aren't that bad. You just went into Wrigley and you took a series from the Cubs, and then you look at the Mariners and you go, bro, you just lost to the Twins today, 10-1. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, where's the consistency, right? Like, We were getting ready to give the Yankees the American League like 3 weeks ago. Look at the Yankees now. There's a real conversation where the Yankees might be a wild card team.
It's possible.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And that's why baseball is one of those sports where you can't. Everybody says, "Oh, let's predict the future." You can't. You got to watch the games. You got to see who gets hot, who cools off, who does this. Speaking of the Rays, before we go, it came out today on a sad note that former shortstop Wander Franco is he was found guilty on, I think, what was it, like rape charges, I guess?
Let's see. He was found guilty of sexually abusing a minor.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So he got 2 years 5 years probation is what I heard. And while he may not go to prison, he's never playing in the big leagues again because he can't get a work visa.
Right.
So in order for you to play in the big leagues, you have to have a work visa.
Yeah.
So that
what I think is gonna end up happening to him is, though, because like you said, he's never gonna be able to suit up for any team here, in the States playing Major League Baseball. But at his young age, and considering that, call me crazy, I don't even think we ever got to see the best of Wander Franco because of how young he was. Like, dating back to when all of this even began. How old is he? Is he like 22 or something like that?
23, 24 maybe? Wow, right?
Wander Franco, he's 24 years old, right? So I could see this being something. And by the way, I think the 2 years that he got and probation or whatever the thing that he was assigned with is a slap on the wrist, if you would have asked me. Like, the way Major League Baseball was viewing it and the way the media was covering it, I thought he was going to be in there for a significant amount of time. Like, I thought we weren't going to see the dude until like his late 30s, 40s or something like that. But to know that this is what they're doing with him out there, I think this could be something that works in his favor. Now, obviously, I know best case scenario for him would have been to be able to play Major League Baseball again, but he might come out and be able to start a whole new life overseas.
If you're an overseas team, why do you want to take the risk?
See, I think they view things differently. And knowing that you don't have as many eyes on the product compared to what Major League Baseball is like over here,
right?
That is why you probably do take the risk. Where, like, listen, we don't got as many people going bonkers on social media and trying to tear us down for making a decision like this,
Right. Yeah.
Because you look at a guy like a Trevor Bauer, right? A guy who did absolutely nothing wrong, and he's hopping from league to league. He's playing for the Mexican League. He's playing for that league. You name it. Trevor Bauer has probably suited up for damn near every other league that's overseas,
Hell yeah. By the time he's going to be playing in the Australian League next year.
Right. So I could see, and not to say that Wander Franco's situation is like Trevor Bauer's. Trevor Bauer did nothing wrong, clearly, and we know that now.
Right.
But I think the age, and considering that we never saw the best of who Wander Franco can be,
that's crazy.
Might be a reason why teams overseas are going to be interested. But we'll see how that turns out.
And I'll tell you this, the extensions in the big leagues are a lot more questionable now.
Right.
Because the Rays paid him and he dumped out.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Let's get
Strike says right here, 2 year sentence is suspended, so dude isn't going to be behind bars. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, he got like 5 years probation. He's not doing no jail time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Wander will never step foot on another professional field. You think so, Shrek? I know here in the States, like, he doesn't stand a chance. But
but overseas, I don't even think they allow him to do that, just because even if it's smaller coverage, like you touch a minor. It's not like there's kids come to these games.
Exactly.
Like, I don't even know if we want you even near them.
I wonder how DR views him now moving forward. Like, how a lot of guys, in the off season, they go over there to play winter ball. Does DR view him to an extent where, like, we don't even want you around anymore?
Nah.
Or do you still see him as a guy who you allow come play in his hometown?
Not to be drastic, I don't even think he's gonna be walking the streets. I think if he walks the streets, somebody's gonna try and kill him
on some GTA shit.
Yo, You touched a minor. Like that's not like
it's wild for sure. That's why I say what they served him with is really nothing.
That could be like that. Now we talking about vigilante justice. Was word.
Right.
They didn't hit you, but you come out here, we gonna hit you with something.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Playing ball.
He might have to be one of those dudes where for like the rest of his life he's now walking around with security.
That's insane.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, speaking of crazy.
Yeah, this is true here, Shrek. Of course. Well, the only reason why I mention it is because when guys are, going through something, and I know it's two completely different situations, some of these countries will welcome you until like a decision is made, and they'll give you a second shot.
No doubt.
I'm not saying that Wander Franco deserves one. If you were to ask me, I think there's a special place that's called hell for people like him, and that's where he should end up.
Yeah, they sending that man to the luxury suites in hell. You know what I'm saying?
For real, right.
Him and Satan gonna be right next to each other. You did what? All
right. So before we leave, one last reminder. Thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. On this Thursday night edition of the show. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at 27outs3C. And last but not least, before we sign out, make sure you guys thumbs up the video. It goes a long way. And subscribe, right, if you're new. And for those of you who are watching it after the fact, huge shout out to you guys. We really appreciate it. As I mentioned earlier tonight, go ahead.
If you're watching it after the fact, I want you to put Replay Gang in the comments.
So that would be nice because we don't really know. Yeah. We do know that people are watching. There's numbers that tell us that you guys do watch after the fact, but we don't know exactly who. So we would like to know who you are.
Yeah, put Replay Gang in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching from New York, if you're watching from Boston, wherever you're watching from, throw your cities in the chat too, so we can better connect with you that way as well.
Right. Before we leave, just want to let you guys know that, again, we will be back in a few days. Monday night, 9 p.m. We'll be right here yet again. So you get 2 episodes within the span of 7 days, which is great.
But Monday night show is going to be a little different depending on if we get the person.
Right. We're looking to make Monday night show an interview. By the looks of it right now, it's looking like it's going to happen. But you guys won't really know who's going to be on the show until, like, what do you think? Sunday? Right? Well, we're going to put it out a day before for sure.
Give you guys a nice little heads up who it is. And
Right. We just got to finalize some things. And then also, Monday night show is really special for another reason, but we can't say anything about that right now. But Monday night show is definitely one that I would say you should tune into. Right.
And here's the thing.
Stay tuned for that.
If you tune in Monday, right? If you tune in Monday, when the secret is revealed, you get to call your homies and be like, yo, you can't believe who they got. You can't believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Shrek, you see, Shrek says we got Shohei Ohtani interview.
Well, one of us better learn Japanese real quick because
Right. Well, you know what we could tell you, not about what we want to announce on Monday's show, but gearing up between now and Monday night show, right? With the person who we already have scheduled. By the way, I think he's already serving his time for that. I was reading about it the other day. But if this is something that we actually could finalize, we're definitely going to be talking Braves. That Chris Sale injury, we're going to dive deeper into that. Yep. And just the Braves overall, and we might touch on like maybe another topic or two, depending on how she feels. Yep. So yeah, guys, stick around for that. Thanks again for tuning in tonight, Stefan. Any last words? Because I'm good.
Nah, man, we ain't got to go home, but we got to get the hell up out of here. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all Monday night.